On enrollment day at Ravenwood University, a fragile-looking freshman girl with wide, pleading eyes approached my son. She struggled dramatically beside an enormous, battered suitcase that seemed far too heavy for her slender frame. In my previous life, I had taught Damien to always be kind, to help those in need without hesitation. So when she begged him to carry her luggage up to the 7th floor dorm, he did. The moment he set it down in the dim hallway, she ran to the dean's office in tears, accusing him of attempting to assault her in a secluded emergency stairwell. The disciplinary notice spread like wildfire across social media. My son, the regional top scorer in advanced physics and mathematics, became a trending joke overnight. The tidal wave of hatred and public shaming crushed him. He jumped from the roof of the engineering building before the first week of classes even began. My husband's hair turned white in a single night. On his way to confront the university, he died in a suspicious car accident. Meanwhile, the girl collected a full-ride scholarship for 4 years, received special academic support, and was fast-tracked into a prestigious research program. During her alumni speech years later, she looked straight at me, a broken mother still drowning in grief, and offered a faint, knowing smile. Some kinds of pain are simply stepping stones to greatness, aren't they? Now, in this second chance at life, the same girl stood before us on the bustling enrollment plaza, pointing at that monstrous suitcase, her eyes brimming with manufactured tears. "Ma'am, I really can't lift it myself. Could your son please help me? I'm all alone here." I held Damien's hand firmly, my expression calm and unreadable. "Carrying luggage? There's a porter service right at the entrance. $60 and they'll take it up for you." Mira Langford froze. She clearly hadn't expected such a flat, businesslike refusal. "Ma'am, my family is very poor. After tuition, I barely have enough for food. $60 is almost a week's meals for me." She wiped away a single tear with practiced precision. "I don't want to be a burden, but I have no one else." Her sobs grew sharp and piercing. A small crowd quickly gathered. A well-dressed young man in a designer polo stepped forward, frowning. "Ma'am, isn't that a bit heartless? We're all fellow students here. What's the harm in a guy helping a girl with her bag?" An older woman beside him joined in immediately. "Exactly. Look how upset this poor girl is. You people dress so nicely but have zero compassion. Typical entitled rich folk." Accusations flew from every direction. Mira kept her head down, shoulders shaking harder for dramatic effect. I raised my hand to stop Damien, who was about to speak, and addressed the young man directly. "You think she's pitiful? Then you carry the suitcase up to the 7th floor for her." The boy hesitated, glanced at the massive, overstuffed luggage, and his confident expression faltered. "I just finished practice. My shoulder is killing me." I turned to the older woman with a polite smile. "Since your heart overflows with sympathy, why don't you pay the $60 for the porter?" A cheap way to buy a saintly reputation. The woman's face stiffened. She took a step back. "Are you crazy? She's nothing to me. Why should I pay?" The crowd fell awkwardly silent. I looked back at Mira. "Hear that? Everyone feels so sorry for you, yet no one wants to lift a finger or spend a single dollar." Myra's face shifted through shades of red and pale. "Ma'am, why are you humiliating me like this? Is being poor a crime now?" I stared into her eyes, enunciating every word with icy clarity. Being poor does not make you entitled to other people's time, energy, or labor. My son is the top physics scorer in the region. He is not free-moving service. Damien, let's go." I took my son's hand and walked away without another glance. After we had gone a good distance, he asked quietly, "Mom, wasn't that too harsh? She's still a classmate." I stopped and looked at this kind-hearted boy. The same one who had been driven to suicide in my previous life. Remember this lesson forever: never hand out your sympathy carelessly. Some people collect it like weapons. He nodded, half understanding. By 3:30 p.m., we had settled into a quiet hotel near campus. Damien's phone rang. It was his academic advisor, Professor Elias Thorne. The voice on speaker was low and commanding. "Damien, come to the Student Affairs office immediately. Bring a parent." I sipped my tea calmly. It had begun, just as I remembered. Damien's face went pale as the call ended. "Mom, she's claiming I tried to force myself on her this afternoon in the north emergency stairwell near the science library." I set my teacup down slowly, my eyes turning cold. In my previous life, the suitcase had been her opening move. This time I had blocked it. Yet she had simply adapted and chosen a different location. This girl was determined to destroy my son's future no matter what. "Don't worry," I said, standing up. "We're going together." When we entered the Student Affairs office, the atmosphere was thick with tension. Mira sat curled on the sofa, her blouse collar dramatically torn, one shoulder exposed, fake scratches visible on her neck. Professor Thorne sat behind his desk like a judge ready to deliver sentence. The moment Mira saw us, her sobs intensified. "Don't come near me. Please." Damien's fists clenched. "This is insane." I was with my mother at the hotel the entire afternoon. Thorne slammed his hand on the desk. "You dare threaten the victim in my office? Her clothes are torn. Her neck is marked. The damage is done." I stepped in front of my son. "Professor Thorne, nothing has been investigated yet. Isn't it premature to label her the victim and my son the criminal?" Thorne glared at me. "You're the mother? With a top-scoring son like this, one would expect better character. This innocent girl from a rural background has been traumatized." I pulled up a chair and sat down uninvited. "Since you're so certain, where's your evidence beyond her word?" "Her injuries are the evidence." Thorne snapped. "Are you suggesting she did this to herself?" "Why not?" I replied calmly. "People have done far worse for scholarships." Thorne's face reddened with anger. "What kind of parent are you? Making excuses for him?" At that moment, the door burst open. My husband Victor stormed in, breathing heavily. Without asking a single question, he marched straight to Damien and delivered a sharp slap across his face. The sound echoed in the room. "Dad," Damien touched his reddening cheek in shock. "I don't have a son who would disgrace our family like this," Victor snarled. He turned to Thorne, his posture shifting instantly into subservience. "Professor, I'm so sorry. This is my failure as a father." Thorne's expression softened slightly. "At least one parent is reasonable. This is serious. If the police get involved, Damien's future is over." At the word police, Victor's legs nearly gave out. "No police. I'll pay whatever is necessary to settle this quietly." Thorne nodded. "For the sake of his academic record, let's handle it internally. Mira has been wronged, but involving authorities won't help her reputation either. An apology and some compensation." "I don't want money," Mira interrupted, tears streaming. "I just think it's unfair that someone with such rotten character gets the top merit scholarship and the freshman representative speech. Why should he have everything while I struggle?" There it was, her true goal laid bare. Victor immediately turned on Damien. "Apologize right now. Kneel if you have to. Give her the scholarship and the speech slot. We don't need the trouble." He grabbed Damien's shoulder, trying to force him down. I shot up from my chair, seized Victor's wrist, and yanked it away with surprising force. "What do you think you're doing?" Victor hissed. "Protecting my innocent son," I replied coldly. "He did nothing wrong." Victor's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. "Elara, have you lost your mind? Do you want him in prison? Do you want to ruin my business reputation?" I ignored him and walked over to Mira. "You're absolutely sure it was my son in that stairwell around 2:15 p.m.? She shrank back. "Why, yes." "What was he wearing?" "A gray hoodie and dark jeans." Interesting, I said. Because he was wearing a navy blue shirt and khaki pants today. Anyone else in the stairwell? No, the camera there is broken anyway. The slip was small but fatal. She realized it too late and began crying louder. Professor Thorne stood up angrily. Mrs. Voss, you're re-traumatizing the victim. I pulled out my phone. Since the university seems unable to find the truth, let's bring in professionals. I dialed 3 numbers. Hello, this is 911? I'd like to report a possible false accusation and extortion attempt at Ravenwood University. The office fell deathly silent. The silence shattered as Professor Thorne lunged for my phone. What do you think you're doing? This is a university matter. I stepped back smoothly, continuing the call. Yes, Student Affairs Office at Ravenwood University. My son is being falsely accused of assault. I have reason to believe this is an extortion scheme. Please send officers immediately. I hung up. Thorne's face had gone from red to ghostly white. Mrs. Voss, you're blowing this out of proportion. Dirty laundry should stay within the family. You'll destroy the university's reputation. Victor looked like he was having a stroke. He clutched his head, screaming, Elara, if you ruin us, I swear. He whirled toward Damien, fist raised. You worthless boy. I'll kill you myself before you drag this family down. I grabbed the heavy ceramic thermos from the desk and smashed it at Victor's feet. Scalding tea splashed across the floor. Touch my son again and see what happens. The 2 campus security officers and police arrived within minutes, accompanied by a stern administrator in a gray suit. The chaotic room froze. Thorne tried to regain control. Officers, this is an internal university disciplinary issue. We were handling it appropriately. I smiled coldly. Attempted assault and potential extortion stopped being internal the moment false accusations were made. One officer surveyed the scene. Myra's torn clothes, Damien's slapped cheek, the spilled tea, and Thorne's panicked expression. Everyone stay where you are. Who made the call? I stepped forward and gave a clear, chronological account. Mira claimed the incident happened at 2:15 p.m. in the North Library emergency stairwell. However, Damien had been with me at the hotel since 12:30 p.m., check-in records, elevator footage, key card logs, and cafe payment at 1:50 p.m. all confirmed it. Myra's crying hitched. And maybe the time was wrong. I was scared. The lead officer raised an eyebrow. You remembered his exact clothing but not the time? And how did you know the stairwell camera was broken on your first day? Myra's eyes darted toward Thorne for a split second. I heard students talking. Thorne interjected quickly. I inform all new students about safety blind spots. Really? I asked. You specifically warn every freshman about one broken camera near the library? The officers took Thorne aside for questioning. Meanwhile, they bagged Myra's blouse as evidence and requested to inspect her suitcase, which was still sitting untouched in the dorm lobby. Mira panicked visibly. That's my private property. You can't. You made a serious criminal accusation, the officer replied firmly. Evidence must be preserved. That evening, with police present, the suitcase was opened. Inside, clothes, basic toiletries, and a hidden compartment containing a spare blouse with a carefully cut collar, a small pair of scissors, theatrical makeup in bruised tones, a campus map with the exact stairwell circled, and printed documents highlighting Damien's scholarship, physics achievements, and freshman speech slot. Mira collapsed. I don't know how any of that got there. No one believed her. By midnight, text messages between Mira and an unknown number surfaced through the investigation. She had inquired about the top-scoring physics student weeks before enrollment. Thorne's number appeared in the thread with carefully worded suggestions about internal resolutions, protecting disadvantaged voices, and transferring opportunities to repair harm. The pieces fit together perfectly. Ravenwood University moved quickly once the police evidence mounted. Professor Elias Thorne was suspended before sunrise. Mira Langford's enrollment was frozen pending full investigation. Damien's scholarship and freshman representative position remained untouched. The university promised a public statement once the initial police findings were confirmed. But the online rumors had already started. By morning, screenshots and twisted narratives flooded campus groups. Top physics genius assaults poor freshman, rich mother bullies victim, Ravenwood protects its golden boys. Damien sat in the hotel room, staring at his phone, his face ashen. Mom. What if they never believe me? I took the phone from his hands gently. They will. Because this time evidence speaks louder than tears. In my previous life, I had begged administrators, deleted comments, and cried until my voice gave out. Truth had stayed buried. This time, I had dragged it into the light. Victor called over a dozen times that morning. I answered only once. Elara, I was wrong. Let me come. We need to show a united front. I'm his father. You remembered you were his father only after the police confirmed his alibi, I said coldly. Don't call again. I hung up. The freshman orientation ceremony was packed. Students, parents, faculty, livestream cameras, everyone was there. Mira sat in the third row among the freshmen, wearing a pale sweater, her face arranged in perfect victimhood. Some students still glanced at her with pity. Then Damien walked in beside me. The room shifted. Phones rose. Myra's eyes widened. She had expected shame to keep him away. The dean, looking 10 years older, stepped onto the stage before the main program. Before we proceed, Ravenwood University must address false information circulated about an incoming student. Whispers erupted. The dean raised his hand. We will present corrections based on law enforcement and internal review. A criminal investigation is ongoing. We ask everyone to refrain from harassment. The recording from my phone began playing through the auditorium speakers. Thorne's voice filled the hall. Damien will issue a public apology, forfeit all honors and scholarships, and accept a formal disciplinary mark. Then Victor's voice followed, apologize right now. Kneel if you have to. Give her the scholarship. Damien flinched beside me. I squeezed his hand once. He straightened his shoulders. The large screen behind the dean displayed the timeline. Hotel check-in footage, key card logs, elevator video showing Damien with me at the exact time of the alleged incident. Next slide showed Myra's contradictory statements, the campus map from her suitcase, the cut blouse, and the hidden makeup. Mira shot to her feet. This is private. You can't show my things. A parent nearby whispered loudly, she tried to destroy a boy's life. The dean continued, voice tight. Mira Langford has been removed from scholarship consideration and suspended from all enrollment activities. Professor Thorne has been suspended pending further investigation. Mira burst into tears. I didn't have a choice. I had nothing. He already had everything. I stood up. The entire auditorium turned toward me. Poverty explains hardship, I said clearly, my voice carrying. It does not excuse destroying an innocent person's future. The silence that followed was absolute. 2 officers approached Mira quietly. She understood the performance was over. Professor Thorne appeared near a side entrance, clearly hoping to speak with the dean privately. A parent recognized him first. That's the advisor from the recording. The room turned toward him like a gathering storm. Thorne's face went gray. He tried to retreat, but it was too late. I walked down the aisle until I stood 10 feet away from him. You didn't protect a victim. You manufactured one for convenience and personal gain. His usual confident smile collapsed. Parents began speaking all at once. How many other students did he handle internally? Is this how Ravenwood deals with accusations? My daughter is supposed to trust these advisors? Thorne looked desperately toward the dean, but the dean looked away. That single gesture marked the end of his career at Ravenwood. Victor arrived halfway through the chaos, wearing a freshly pressed suit, his face arranged into practiced concern. He tried to move toward us as if we were still one happy family. Damien stepped aside before Victor could reach him. "Son," Victor froze. "Not here," Damien said quietly. His voice carried farther than expected. Victor lowered his voice. "I just want to stand with you." Damien looked toward the stage where his name waited. "The first hand that touched me after the accusation was yours." And it was a slap. The words spread through the front rows, then the middle, then the back through whispers. Victor's face drained of color. "Damien, I was scared." "So was I," Damien replied. "But you chose fear over me." Victor tried to touch his shoulder. Damien stepped back again. The public rejection landed heavily. Victor turned pleading eyes to me. "Elara." I stepped closer. "You knew how to bow to the professor. You knew how to slap your own son. The only thing you didn't know was how to stand by him when it mattered." The dean cleared his throat and announced the freshman representative speech. Damien Voss, regional top scorer in physics and mathematics. For a moment, Damien didn't move. I gently touched his sleeve. "Go." He climbed the steps slowly. In my previous life, I had seen his name turned into a hashtag of filth. I had seen photos of his abandoned backpack and shoes left on the roof ledge. Now he stood under bright lights, alive and breathing. The auditorium quieted. Damien adjusted the microphone, the faint red mark still visible on his cheek. "When I came to Ravenwood, I thought the hardest thing would be the coursework." A few nervous laughs rippled through the crowd. I was wrong. The hardest part was learning that truth can be slower than tears. That people will rush to judgment before evidence has a chance to speak. A life can be destroyed before the first class even starts. The room held its breath. I was taught to help people. I still believe in kindness. But kindness without boundaries is a door that predators learn to open. I will still help others, but I will never again confuse compassion with handing someone the knife. He looked toward the now empty seat where Mira had been sitting. Evidence should speak before tears become a verdict. Sympathy is precious. That is why it must never be used as a weapon. He paused, then continued with quiet strength. "Today I accept this scholarship and this responsibility with gratitude. Not because I was never afraid, but because fear does not get to steal what truth can protect." The applause started slowly, then built into thunder. Damien stood under it with straight shoulders and dry eyes. Ravenwood University issued a public correction and formal apology. Damien's record remained spotless. His scholarship was confirmed in writing, and his speech was shared widely across campus and online, not as a scandal, but as a powerful testament to truth prevailing over manipulation. Mira Langford was removed from enrollment. She faced charges of false reporting, evidence fabrication, defamation, and attempted extortion. Her name quietly disappeared from scholarship lists and freshman programs. Students who had called her brave deleted their posts so fast that screenshots became memes. Professor Thorne's office was sealed. Other families came forward with similar stories of internal resolutions that had felt wrong. His reputation as a protector of students crumbled completely. His career was over. Victor's business partners saw the recordings. One major client withdrew from a deal the same day. Another called to question whether family instability would affect operations. The man who had feared his son ruining the family name had done it himself with his own words and actions. That evening, I opened the hotel door only because Damien was safely inside. Victor stood there, looking smaller than I had ever seen him. "Elara. I made a mistake." Damien sat at the desk, reading his scholarship confirmation. He didn't stand. Victor swallowed hard. "I was scared. I thought if it spread, your life would be ruined." "So you helped them ruin it faster," Damien said quietly. "I'm your father." Damien's hand tightened around the paper. "You were?" Then why was the first thing you did slap me before asking if I was okay? Victor's eyes filled with tears. He turned to me. Don't destroy this family. Please give me one chance. I took an envelope from the side table and handed it to him. Divorce papers. Victor's hands started shaking. You can't be serious. You destroyed it the moment you raised your hand against our innocent son instead of seeking the truth. He shook his head. Elara, please. Damien stood up slowly and walked to stand beside me. Victor looked at him with desperate hope. Damien's voice stayed calm and final. Maybe one day I won't hate you. But today, I don't want you near me. I closed the door before Victor could turn his tears into another burden. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then Damien sat on the edge of the bed, shoulders finally shaking. I went to him immediately. This time, he let me hold him. Mom, why did you believe me so quickly? Because I once arrived too late. I couldn't tell him the full truth of my reincarnation, but I could give him what mattered. Because I know what happens when good people wait for cruel people to become fair. He nodded against my shoulder. Should I stop helping people? No, I whispered, wiping his face. Keep your heart. Just stop handing it to anyone who cries on command. Damien let out a broken little laugh. That sounds harsh. It's useful. The next morning we returned to campus. Damien carried only his own backpack. At the 7th floor landing, he paused by the stairwell door, then turned to me with quiet resolve. Mom, I'm going to be okay. I believed him. Not because the world had suddenly become kind, but because my son had learned that a good heart still needs strong boundaries. Weeks later, watching the recording of his speech, I felt something close to peace. In my previous life, I had taught my son that kindness was everything, and the world taught him it could be used as a rope. In this life, I taught him something stronger. A good heart still needs locked doors. And this time, when Damien stepped onto that stage, no one laughed. They listened.